and welcome to the Just in Time podcast. I'm your host, Justin Shoot. I'm very excited to be with y'all here today. We got episode 22 here for y'all. I didn't write up a full script or anything, so I'm just going to kind of go with the flow for this video. In this video, we're going to talk about the college football championship recaps. Big important games happened this last weekend, and some exciting stuff went down. We got a bunch of college football conference championships crowned, so we're going to talk about that a little bit. We're going to talk about the college football playoff as after those games happened on Friday and Saturday. We got the committee show yesterday on Sunday revealing who's in the playoff. So we're going to talk about who's in the college football playoff. And also we're going to end the video talking about some notable players that are in the transfer portal, as this is an exciting time for college football right now. Transfer portal just opened up. College football playoff just got announced yesterday, and the day before we had conference championships. So, time moves fast here in college football. So that's the beauty about it. You just got to really just take advantage and, love it while it's here, because the off season is a long, long time and it's not fun for anyone. Before we get into the college football championship recaps, I want to give a quick shout out to Axis Archery. Shout out to the sponsor of the video, Axis Archery. They are a full-service bow shop and archery range for Bastrop County and the surrounding areas. They have a 100-yard outdoor range and monthly 3D shooting events throughout the summer for fun and realistic practice for bow season, all hosted and put on by the owner, Blake McFall. If you are interested, you can give him a call at 512-629-2113, and be sure to visit his website at www.axisarchery.com. Now, I'm terrible at shooting bows and arrows. I have no experience with it, but he coached me up for just a few minutes. Blake McFall did coach me up a little bit, and I was, getting pretty. I was hitting the target. I was doing pretty good. So, if he can teach somebody as bad as me how to shoot a bow and arrow, he's gonna do wonders with you, especially if you have some, interest and skill in that area, unlike me. So. Yeah, shout out to Axis Archery, and be sure to check out their website and shop with them. Now we're going to talk about this conference championship week recap. It was a pretty exciting slate of games from the Big 12, Big 10, SEC, Pac-12, and ACC. Those are the games that I watched. There's obviously more conferences that had their games, and shout out to SMU, Tulane, and all the other schools that participated in their conference championships. But for entertainment purposes, I'm going to only keep it towards the Power 5 schools. So we're going to start it off with my team, the Texas Longhorns, and they did some remarkable stuff, y'all. Texas won the Big 12, beating Oklahoma State commandingly, 41-29, and that was one heck of a game. Quinn Ewers broke the Big 12 championship game record for most passing yards in a championship game. Quinn also won the most outstanding player award and led the way with a 74% completion rate, 452 passing yards, and 4 touchdowns. To say the least, Texas's performance was awesome. It was everything they needed it to be to try to get into the playoff. They won in a commanding fashion, in an impressive fashion. They really didn't hold anything back. They rushed the ball with ease. They got touchdowns with ease with throwing the ball through the air. Run defense was stout. They held Ollie Gordon to under 50 rushing yards, which is insane because Ollie Gordon is the nation's leading rushing leader. But Texas really impressed me with this win against Oklahoma State. Not only did they, win, they won in commanding fashion. I don't think they covered their spread. I think their spread was minus Texas 14, but, nonetheless, it was a great game by Texas. And, shout out to Quinn Ewers, probably his best game as a Longhorn, other than those Alabama games, maybe. They looked very strong the last 2 games they played of the regular season. And it's just exciting to see them finally get back to this spot where, we're Big 12 champions again. We're conference champions. It's been since 2009, so it's been a very, very long time. And it's been since I was a little boy that Texas is actually winning meaningful football games. And it's just awesome to experience that as a Longhorn fan. And now, that was a great job by Texas. And for Oklahoma State, you lost to a very, very talented Texas team, and Mike Gundy even said in a post game interview that they looked a lot better than what they showed on tape. So shout out to Mike Gundy, great coach at Oklahoma State. But shout out to my Longhorns, man. They buckled up. They won the Big 12, and that's just something to hang your hat on in the last year in the Big 12. So many people doubting you. Yeah. Shout out to my Horns. Hook 'em. Next, number 8, Alabama got upset by. Apologies. I wrote it here wrong, but number 8 Alabama upset number 1 Georgia, 27-24, and Alabama won the SEC. So, like I predicted, there's others that predicted this as well. I think Josh Pate was another big one that had the same prediction, but I had Alabama winning against Georgia. My predictions, same as I had Texas beating Oklahoma State. I think Alabama, they just looked very, very good to end off the year, and they looked really strong with Jalen Monroe's confidence and the way he's been able to lead the Crimson Tide to games this season, especially that Auburn game. That was a game they should have lost, and he, at the very end of the game when all hope is lost, he throws a Hail Mary touchdown for the win. But this was an impressive win by Alabama. Not too many teams can make Georgia look like the inferior team. And whenever you're able to do that, especially in the biggest games possible, like this one, with what was on the line, which is basically a trip to the college football playoff for either side, Alabama, to even have a chance at getting in the playoff, you gotta win this game. You gotta win the SEC. Meanwhile, for Georgia, you're undefeated and you want to, go for that three-peat of winning 3 national championships in a row. You have to win this game, but Alabama really, they put some pressure on Carson Beck, and Carson Beck didn't play his best ball game, and Jalen Monroe looked really good out there. He didn't, wow the stat sheet. He didn't, put up a lot of touchdowns and stuff, but he did what he had to do to win, and Alabama ended up winning 27-24. So Alabama won the SEC. Congrats to the Crimson Tide. It was very fun playing y'all in week 2, and I'm looking forward to Texas's future in the SEC when we get to play them more often. Number 3, Washington took care of business against number 5, Oregon, and they won the Pac-12 34-31. This game happened on Friday night, and I predicted the Oregon Ducks beating Washington, as the first game they played earlier in the regular season was a very close one. And I thought just a few changes to the game plan could have made the Oregon Ducks the winner this time around, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. It really looked like Washington held the momentum for most of the game, especially in that first half. Oregon was kind of non-existent. They scored, I think, to go into halftime, and they made a run in the third or fourth quarter, but ultimately Washington just took care of business. They ended up winning the game 34-31. Really got to hats off to the head coach for Washington and also to Michael Penix Jr. Penix Jr. continues to be a great talent. Roma Dunze. That's a tough Washington team, and I'm looking forward to see what they could do because this win really solidified them in the playoffs. So, after Washington beat Oregon, it was pretty clear that they had a fair shot at making the playoffs. Number 2, Michigan dominates number 16, Iowa, shuts them out 26-0 and winning the Big Ten. Michigan, man, they I don't think anybody predicted Iowa. I mean, other than the freaking College Game Day crew, some of the guys picking Iowa to win, that's crazy. But Michigan just, the over-under said it all. The money line was always Michigan, and, they ended up making Iowa not score at all. So that was, I guess, impressive. But, Michigan's played good football year-round. Can't really criticize them too much on, what they've been able to show on the field. They're just a good team, and they're finally going to be able to play some good talent in the college football playoffs. So, we'll see what the future holds for the Michigan Wolverines in the college football playoff. And last of the Power 5 conferences, number 4, Florida State. They hang on and defeat number 14, Louisville, 16-6 to win the ACC and remain undefeated at 13-0. This was a game I had Louisville beating Florida State, but that didn't work out in my favor. Florida State ended up winning 16-6. That poor freshman quarterback was getting lit up. He looked like the lights were too bright for him, but the team hung on, man. They played great defense. Really, they didn't let Jack Plummer throw a touchdown pass at all, which was great from Florida State. And Florida State's always going to remain a defensive first school, but yeah, they did great this game defensively, and they won the ACC, and they went undefeated at 13-0. So before we get into the college football playoff results and how that committee show went on Sunday morning, I want to talk to you about a sponsorship from Clutterbug Organizing. Do you feel like you're drowning in clutter? Are you constantly searching for things you have, but you can't find them? Clutterbug Organizing by Jamie can help you get organized with small, manageable steps that will make a big difference in your daily life. You can check out their socials link below and book a consultation by filling out the interest form on their website. You can get 10% off your first package by putting the Just in Time podcast in the message box. And I'll be sure to link their interest form, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and their website all below in the description of the video. Shout out to you, Clutterbug Organizing by Jamie. All right. We're moving on to the college football playoff. The committee show had a selection show on Sunday. I woke up Sunday morning after a very eventful Saturday, watching college football all day and some NBA games that happened at night. But I was anxious. I was anxious all Sunday because, I knew Texas won their game. They did all they could to control their destiny. But the fact of the matter is that it was all in the committee's hands to vote Texas in. And I was just anxious all morning waiting for it. And it was crazy. So I'm going to go from bottom to top. At number 6 in the final college football playoff rankings, they had Georgia at number 6 after losing to Alabama. They were eliminated from contention. So, yeah, the Georgia Bulldogs, back-to-back national champions. Unfortunately, they're not able to make the college football playoff this year, so they will not be national champions this year. All right. At number 5, who didn't make the college football playoff, Florida State. Florida State went undefeated, and they won the conference title with a record of 13-0. However, the loss of quarterback Jordan Travis significantly impacted the team, and the playoff committee didn't believe in the backup quarterbacks for Florida State. And I'm sorry, FSU fans, from a Longhorn fan, y'all deserve to be in the playoff. Y'all did everything y'all could to get to this point to win and stuff, but I'm amongst the majority that feel like even if Florida State made the playoff, would they have realistically beaten Michigan, Washington, or the teams that I'm going to reveal that could have also made the playoff with them? But realistically, did you think that Florida State had a really good shot at beating them? Because I'm going to say no, because I don't believe in the backup quarterbacks for Florida State. We saw what they could do in the 2 games that Jordan Travis wasn't able to play, and they didn't look very strong. And I know that's not a lot of time for a quarterback to get comfortable, and especially with the freshman that played in the championship game, that's literally like his first time starting for Florida State. But at this level of college football, there's really no room for errors, or a lot of room for errors. So you really need to, it just sucks for Florida State fans, and I feel sorry, but I mean, for selfish reasons, I'm not, because we'll talk about that in a second. But at number 4, this is the first college football playoff matchup we're going to get. At number 4, we got Alabama taking on number 1 Michigan on New Year's Day in the Rose Bowl. So we're going to have an Alabama-Michigan matchup for the first game of the playoff, and that's an exciting matchup right there. Michigan was really, really hoping they were going to pull Florida State in that first round, but they're going to get Alabama, probably the toughest matchup they're going to have to play all year. I've kind of been a Michigan hater. I think I've noticed that throughout the season, but both teams are very, very good. Michigan is I would say they're a run-heavy team first. J.J. McCarthy hasn't been able to light the ball, through the air recently. So we'll see how that goes for him. But yeah, I mean, Texas played Alabama, so I've watched more Alabama football this year. And obviously, Alabama's played the tougher teams because they've been in the SEC and they just played, they've had a tougher schedule. Michigan's schedule was kind of cake. The only teams Michigan had to play that were even like on the same skill level as them was Penn State and Ohio State. And the Ohio State victory was more impressive to me, I think. That doesn't really matter. Michigan did pretty good this season. Alabama did pretty good this season. Now they're going to match up. And we'll talk about, game previews, who I expect to win and all that in a future video. But that's the first game of the playoff. And the second game we got is my Texas Longhorns. They made it to the playoff. We got number 3 Texas versus number 2 Washington on New Year's Day and the Sugar Bowl. So I'm excited for that as a Texas fan to, at the beginning of the year, I had us envisioning making the playoff, and for it to finally happen, that's just like back-to-back years where, good things have happened to me. I've had Victor Wembanyama come to the Spurs, and I had the Texas Longhorns make the college football playoff, and, we're right on the doorstep from winning some big things that haven't been won in a long time for Texas. And I'm excited to see a rematch of this Alamo Bowl from last year. Washington is a very, very, very good team. Pass-heavy offense. They're very physical, but, Texas has really upgraded their team from last year. And, with the addition of A.D. Mitchell, T'Vondre Sweat has really grown as a player, Byron Murphy. And you're getting all this time that's so crucial for Texas right now. They needed time to heal all their guys. I know Xavier Worthy's banged up from the ankle injuries, Ethan Burke. I forget who else is hurt. Ryan Watts, cornerback for the Texas Longhorns. But yeah, 2 exciting matchups. On New Year's Day, I will be only planning on watching college football for sure. New Year's Eve will be partying it up and getting ready for the playoff next day. And the committee show was fun to watch. Shout out to the committee for putting Texas in. I really appreciate that. I think they got the games and matchups this year correct 100%. I would have put this in. And again, I'm sorry to the Florida State fans out there. Great program. They're going to bounce back. I know they will. Before we get into the notable players that hit the transfer portal today, we're going to give a quick shout out to the sponsor, Chris Sneed, a.k.a. 4K the Barber, a.k.a. High Jump Party Rentals. Shout out to High Jump Party Rentals and 4K the Barber. High quality party bounces and party packages available along with an up-and-coming barber service. You can reach out to either or at 210-438-3366, and Chris or Erica will take care of y'all. If you need a haircut or you need a party bounce, they will take care of y'all with A+ hospitality. The cooler weather is here and approaching, and you can still have fun outside with the bounces for the kiddos. And Chris, as a barber, will leave you 100% satisfied. He never lets me down. And if you're in the San Antonio area, y'all need to get at him today. So that's 4K the Barber and High Jump Party Rentals. They got the popcorn machine, party bounces, you name it. Let's finish off this video talking about some notable players that hit the transfer portal. And I just got a few players on this list. There's about maybe 15 to 20 players, but all of them are big guys. They were really important to their programs last season. This season technically it's still going on, but these are major players from their colleges, and they can all make a really big impact wherever they go. So we're going to start it off with Ohio State quarterback Kyle McCord. He was a starter for most of the season. A little bit underwhelming with, what their end result was from the season. You expected Ohio State to beat Michigan and to make the playoff themselves maybe, but, unfortunately for them, that wasn't the case. So, yeah, Kyle McCord entered the transfer portal. He'll be a hot quarterback name for sure for a lot of colleges out there. This one was kind of a shocker to me. This came yesterday, I believe. Walter Nolan, the defensive tackle from Texas A&M, entered the transfer portal. Walter Nolan was a number 2 player in his class, number 1 defensive guy in his class. That guy's a beast. He's got 2 years of eligibility, I believe, and he's entered the transfer portal now. So, if I had to give 2 names that I think he would be great, easy fits for, would be Texas because they're likely going to lose T'Vondre Sweat this year, maybe Byron Murphy. That could be, a seamless fit, putting him in there. Or Tennessee, because that's where he's from. And I think Tennessee is a great SEC program, and we'll see where Walter Nolan goes. But that's a pretty big name to hit the portal, and somebody's a Longhorn fan I'm definitely keeping an eye on. Dylan Gabriel, quarterback from Oklahoma, into the transfer portal. This came this morning as I was at work, and it was a shocker to see Dylan Gabriel hit the portal. I thought he would have definitely had one more year at Oklahoma, or maybe considered entering the draft. But good quarterback entered the transfer portal. And I believe with Dylan Gabriel now entering the transfer portal for Oklahoma, Oklahoma is now betting on Jackson Arnold, who was their highly touted freshman this year, to be the long-term starter there for Oklahoma, which is a pretty good sight to see, because Jackson Arnold is an impressive talent. He won Gatorade Player of the Year, I think, his senior year. So, we'll see where Dylan Gabriel ends up. Dante Moore, quarterback from UCLA, entered the transfer portal. He's from UCLA, and Dante Moore was a 5-star. I think he was the number 3 quarterback in his class coming out. He was a true freshman. He started for UCLA for a lot of the games this year, and he's entered the transfer portal. I know he had some interest with Oregon and Michigan during his recruiting process, so those are 2 schools to definitely keep an eye on, as they both will likely need quarterback upgrades or just acquisitions needed for this offseason. So, Dante Moore is a really good get. He's probably a top 5 rated player of the portal right now. Same goes for Walter Nolan, the defensive tackle A&M. Both those guys could come in and be like top 5 players on your college football team. They're that good. They're that impactful. Cam Ward, quarterback from Washington State, entered the transfer portal. Also another guy that can come in and impact your team right away and be that kind of a difference maker. I know he's getting a lot of attention from Ohio State, so we'll see what the future holds for Cam Ward. He's a little bit of a scrambling quarterback. I like his game. Will Howard, quarterback from Kansas State, entered the transfer portal. Will Howard had some impressive years for Kansas State last year when they won the Big 12, and they weren't able to do that this year. They fell short of that mission, and Avery Johnson, the young quarterback behind him, just impressed Kansas State. And I think they had, him playing this year and showing out in a few games. I think Kansas State was looking forward to, rolling with him in the future. And Will Howard, he's going to take his opportunity elsewhere. And he's a very good quarterback, and I'm sure he'll find a spot in the college football world where he can go and be impactful. Riley Leonard, quarterback from Duke, entered the transfer portal, and he's looked at for Auburn and Notre Dame. Riley Leonard is one of those guys where if he goes to the right situation and everything works out, he can be a first-round pick for you in the NFL draft. He's that good, really scrambling type. I believe from his story, he wasn't even a football player in high school. He was mainly a basketball guy. And then he used to play football on the side or something like that. And then his trainer sent his tape to Duke one time, and they fell in love with his football game and ended up recruiting him. So interesting story right there. Riley Leonard, definitely a hot name in the portal. Keep an eye out for Auburn or Notre Dame. Notre Dame seems like a great fit with Sam Hartman leaving for the draft. And, with Auburn, Auburn is a highly touted SEC program that is on the come up. So, we'll keep an eye out for him. DJ Uiagalelei, quarterback from Oregon State, entered the transfer portal. He came from Clemson before that. He was a highly rated quarterback in his class, same class that Bryce Young was from. But he didn't have the same amount of success as Bryce Young, unfortunately. I think Oregon could be a good spot for him. I think his brother plays at Oregon. We'll keep an eye out for DJ Uiagalelei, one of my favorite players in the college football game. Aiden Childs, quarterback from Oregon State, also entered the transfer portal. He got 2 Oregon State quarterbacks that entered the transfer portal today. Uiagalelei was a couple of days ago, but Childs was today. And Aiden Childs is one of those top 5 guys, like I mentioned, that could really impact the team. I think he's the youngest player in college football for a quarterback. I think he was 17 or 18 last year. Super, super young. I think he's got all 4 years of eligibility still to use. If not, he's got 3. Guy's a stud, super young. Scrambling type, got a big arm, nice spiral. I like Aiden Childs' game, and he's beginning a lot of looks from Michigan State, and that's a program that's needing some turnaround. And I like that fit for sure. He can turn around that program and become the face of the Spartans, for the future. And I think, with Aiden Childs potentially coming in, he'd probably be the best quarterback, or at least most high quarterback they've had in a very long time. I don't want to say since Kirk Cousins, because that's a very long time, but it's been a while. Grayson McCall, quarterback from Coastal Carolina, entered the transfer portal. Colorado tight end Michael Harrison entered the transfer portal. Oklahoma running back Marcus Major Jr. entered the transfer portal. Georgia quarterback Brock Vandegrift entered the transfer portal. That's a name that's pretty high, highly sought after. A lot of teams are going to try to get Brock Vandegrift. He was a top 5 quarterback prospect in his class, but with Carson Beck likely coming back for Georgia next year, and also Dylan Raiola, the number 1 quarterback for this year, coming into that class, it's just likely that, Brock's not the future for Georgia. Ohio State wide receiver Julian Fleming entered the transfer portal. This was a big name. He was the number 1 receiver in his class, I believe. And he was serviceable at Ohio State for 4 years. He wasn't a star player because, when you're surrounded by Marvin Harrison Jr., Garrett Wilson, and Chris Olave and guys like that, it's hard to be on the same caliber as them. But Julian Fleming's a good player nonetheless, and I'm sure he'll find a way to be a wide receiver 1 somewhere in college football. Utah quarterback Bryson Barnes entered the transfer portal. He had a good year at Utah. Led him to some pretty impressive wins, and I'm excited to see where he can take his talents to. Tulane wide receiver Chris Brazel II entered the transfer portal. Chris Brazel came from Midland, Texas. He's a 6'5" wide receiver, very physical, very, very good football player. Someone I think is going to be pretty highly sought after from a lot of teams. Kind of hoping Texas takes a shot at him. He's got like 3 years of eligibility, I believe. But if Texas doesn't take a shot at him, there's a lot of schools that will. So, keep an eye out for Chris Brazel. He's a very good football player. Ohio State running back Evan Pryor into the transfer portal. Texas Tech offensive tackle Monroe Mills entered the transfer portal. That's a pretty good offensive tackle that Colorado is going to be trying to get. James Madison University quarterback Jordan McLeod into the transfer portal. He was crazy this year for James Madison. I think he took him to an undefeated regular season record. And Jordan McLeod's now making his way to hopefully an FBS school, or just a Power 5 school where he can actually make an impact and boost his draft stock for next year's draft. Former A&M quarterback Max Johnson, he entered the transfer portal a while ago. I think it was a week or 2 ago, and he committed to UNC. So he'll be taking over the Tar Heels at quarterback after Drake May leaves for the draft. And last but not least, Texas A&M wide receiver Evan Stewart is on transfer watch. He hasn't officially hit the transfer portal yet, but it's likely that he will hit the transfer portal. And if he does, I hope my Longhorns go after him. Really, if the Longhorns can go after Texas A&M wide receiver Evan Stewart and Texas A&M defensive tackle Walter Nolan, I'll be very happy with how the portal season has gone. But Texas has other things to worry about. They got to celebrate going to the Big 12 and just accomplishing something that hasn't been done since 2009. You got finals to worry about, and then you got Washington to worry about because we're in the college football playoff, and that's a luxury to have. And I'm truly blessed to be a Longhorns fan and to see them play so hard and do all that fun stuff. But that's going to be it for episode 22. A little bit of a short one today. Talked about college football championship recaps with who won each conference championship. I talked about the college football playoff matchups and how it was seeded that way. And I talked about some notable players that hit the transfer portal. And other than that, I hope everybody has a great week. And we got a little bit to go before we get some more college football later down the line. And I'll be sure to hit y'all with an NBA and NFL video for the next time. So until then, y'all have a good one. Please like, subscribe, and share the Just in Time podcast with families and friends. Hit that subscribe button. It's free to do so, and it helps me out tremendously. And again, hope everybody has a great week. And until next time, peace.